My sugar daddy was infertile, but I was pregnant. I asked him carefully, "Do you want a child?" He replied coldly, "I won't have children." My vision went black, and I ran away that very night. Before leaving, I left the pregnancy test stick. I cheated. Don't look for me. I hid in a small southern town to carry the baby. I didn't wait for the baby to be born. Instead, I waited for a pair of hands to cover my eyes. The man clung to my back like a damp ghost. "Be good. Get rid of the child, and I can pretend nothing happened."
Welcome to listen to my full sweet love series novel. I'm the blogger and I'm Twilight's novel. Now let's start the main story.
This child is so cute. Doesn't the country advocate having children? I want this one. After dinner, I was lying on the sofa, bored and scrolling through videos, when I came across a very adorable little girl. She had big eyes and fair skin, and looked so well behaved. I liked the video. So cute. I really liked her. I want to give birth to a child like this too. Ethan had just finished clearing the dining table and sat down beside me, seeing my comment. His eyes were deep, but he didn't say anything. I remembered something, straightened up and tugged at his sleeve. "Why do you look like that? Don't you think this child is very cute?" Ethan answered very perfunctorily. Hum. I didn't give up. "Don't be so dismissive. Answer me properly." This time, Ethan didn't even look at the video on my phone. He said flatly, "I don't like children." My breath hitched. Ethan's expression was completely different from his earlier perfunctory one. I could tell he was serious this time. He truly didn't like children. I pretended to be curious. "Why? Don't you think this child is adorable? Why wouldn't you like a child who is so beautiful and doesn't make any noise?" "Ethan, do I need a reason to dislike something?" Unable to counter his words, I also fell silent. Only the child's voice in the video sweetly called the person filming, "Mommy." I was annoyed and swiped to the next video. Perhaps because I rarely liked videos, after liking one related to a child, the algorithm pushed countless clips of cute children to me. Last time it was a little girl. This time it was an adorable little boy. Maybe Ethan just disliked the girl because he preferred boys? I decided to test him and tugged at his sleeve again. "What about this child? Very cute too." Ethan was as unyielding as before. "Don't like him. Maybe it's because he dislikes other people's children?" I scrolled through videos while my mind wandered. Would his attitude be different if it were his own child? This time, I didn't tug at his sleeve. Instead, I waited for him to finish his tasks. When he leaned down to kiss me, I was lost in the moment. I wrapped my arms around his neck, slightly breathless. "Do you want a child of your own?" Ethan rubbed my head. "Why are you still thinking about this?" "I don't like children. Neither girls nor boys. And I can't have children." I froze. Thankfully, in our current position, I was buried in his embrace, and he couldn't see my expression clearly. I instinctively touched my belly, then withdrew my hand as if shocked. He doesn't like children. Feeling low, I had no desire to scroll through videos anymore. I mumbled that I was sleepy and went to the bedroom to shower and sleep. Lying in bed, my mind was filled with Ethan's words. He doesn't like children. He dislikes all children. And he can't have children. My eyes felt hot, and I wanted to cry a little. I blinked hard to hold back the surging emotion. Go to sleep, go to sleep. Everything will be fine once I'm asleep. Shortly after I closed my eyes, the bitter orange-scented embrace gathered me into his arms. Ethan's low, gentle voice whispered close to my ear. "I didn't mean to contradict you. I truly don't like children. Besides, I have azoospermia. I can't have children. Can we please not argue over this?" Ethan's words not only failed to lift my spirits, but I felt my entire body stiffen like a block of brick. He said he had azoospermia and couldn't have his own children? But, I glanced at the trash can not far away. Inside was a discarded pregnancy test stick showing 2 lines. It was mine. I was clearly pregnant. I got pregnant. Ethan and I had been together for almost 5 years. For the first 2 years, Ethan took precautions, but one day he suddenly stopped. I thought he was tired of inconveniencing himself and was preparing to inconvenience me. I didn't feel I could say anything, as he was the sugar daddy, and his word was law. I quietly went to the pharmacy and bought birth control pills, reminding myself to take them afterward. However, the birth control pills I placed on the bedside table in the afternoon were thrown into the trash can by the evening. Not only did Ethan show no sign of guilt, but he even said, "Don't take medicine, it's bad for your health." But abortion is even worse for your health. Ethan was very dominant. No matter how many times I bought birth control pills or where I hid them, he would find them. Eventually I gave up trying. If I don't take them, I don't take them. He forbade me from taking the pills. If I got pregnant, he would have to be responsible. I hadn't gotten pregnant all these years, and I thought it was a blessing from heaven. Who knew it was Ethan's azoospermia? If he has azoospermia, how did I get pregnant? I have only been intimate with him. I haven't even held hands with any other man. And there was absolutely no possibility of a drunk and confused memory scenario, meaning there was no chance I unknowingly slept with someone else. But a few days ago, my period didn't arrive. I opened my tracking app and saw that 10 full days had passed since the expected date, and I still had no sign of getting my period. After searching online for reasons for a delayed period, it suddenly hit me. Ethan and I never used protection, and a delayed period most likely meant pregnancy. I ordered a pregnancy test stick via delivery, read the instructions, and tested. A few minutes later, the test stick in my hand, unsurprisingly, showed 2 lines. 2 lines meant pregnant. The moment I realized I was pregnant, I instantly stepped into the role of a mother. I felt as if a small life was flourishing inside my belly. A tiny heartbeat traveled through my flesh and bone, reaching my eardrum. That was my child. Mine and Ethan's child. But now there was a problem. Ethan had azoospermia and disliked children. How was I supposed to tell him this? I had originally planned to surprise him on my birthday in a couple of days. Now, the surprise had turned into a scare, and telling him was the very last resort. This won't do. I was so anxious and didn't know what to do. The silver lining was that Ethan was planning to take me on a trip for my birthday. He was very busy, with a stack of work to deal with. To clear his schedule for a long break, he had been flying all over the place and working overtime recently. He didn't trust me alone and messaged me promptly at fixed times every day. I only had breathing room when he flew across the ocean. The time difference naturally caused our schedules to mismatch, and my vague replies to his messages became justifiable since I wasn't video calling him. I was too distracted and didn't have the energy to deal with him. This was the best. I used the time he was away to think things through. When I last asked him, he didn't know I was pregnant. If he knew I was pregnant, he might have a different answer. It's like getting a cat. Parents might say they dislike cats, but once the child brings a kitten home, they often become the most doting ones. Ethan might be the same. Once I figured that out, the knot of worry in my chest finally loosened. Something this significant should be discussed with him openly. When I video called him tonight, my spirits were noticeably higher, and Ethan noticed. Did something happy happen? Do you want to share it with me? I propped up my chin. I figured something out. Ethan asked gently. What is it? I'm not telling you. Ethan pretended to be troubled. You have a secret. Yes, I do. A very big secret. Ethan relaxed. How big? I made a circle with my hands. Big enough to shock you. We chatted casually for a while. It was getting late. He had to work, and I had to go to sleep early. He waited for me to hang up the call. Before I did, I smiled and said, I'll tell you the secret I mentioned when you come back. Oh, and you are not allowed to drop work and come back early because of this. Work hard, my sugar daddy. I'm waiting for you to support me and our child. I had a beautiful dream. In it, Ethan was carefully bottle feeding our baby. He would be a good father. Feeling much better, I got bored and went to a dull evening party. I rarely attended these social events, but they always sent me an invitation. It was just an extra copy for them to print for the sake of appearances. No one expected me to show up today, especially so early. I was focused on eating the small cakes at the banquet, judging which flavor was better, when I suddenly heard Ethan's name. I hear Ethan turned down another marriage alliance? What's so strange about that? How many has he rejected? Why are you so surprised? This time is different. The Lin family's daughter fell for Ethan at first sight. She's an only child and not particularly capable. A marriage alliance with Ethan would be like handing the Lin family over to him, wouldn't it? So what? Do you think Ethan is lacking a Lynn family? After all these years, don't you know? He's devoted to his girlfriend. Pfft, girlfriend? More like a canary, right? A girlfriend he's been with for 5 years and won't marry? It's just a fling. The cream in my mouth suddenly didn't taste sweet anymore. I pricked up my ears and continued to eavesdrop. True. Why don't they get married? Isn't the woman anxious? She should take the opportunity while she can. If I were her, since Ethan likes her anyway, she should just get pregnant and use the child to secure her position. Ethan would never make a woman he loves get an abortion. After this sentence, the other gossiping voice strangely did not respond. I subconsciously touched my stomach. Ethan likes me. He wouldn't make me get an abortion. Even outsiders could see that clearly. I just let out a sigh of relief when I heard the other person speak. TSK, that might not be certain. If the woman is pregnant. The voice was lowered significantly, but my good hearing still caught it. It wouldn't just be about whether to get an abortion or not. It might mean, well, 2 lives lost. The listener gasped quickly. Why? Ethan is ruthless. He can't tolerate any betrayal. In the past, people who betrayed him were dealt with cleanly and efficiently, without any chance to explain themselves. The two continued their gossip. I couldn't bear to listen anymore. My chest felt tight and uncomfortable. I no longer wanted to judge the cakes. I really shouldn't have come to the banquet tonight. I had a good night's sleep last night. Just one short day later, my mindset had completely changed today. I tossed and turned in bed, unable to fall asleep. Humans are particularly prone to overthinking at night. The words I overheard during the day kept replaying in my mind. Marriage alliance, canary, not married, just a fling. These words spun in front of my eyes, transforming into different phrases. Abortion, betrayal, no chance to explain, and 2 lives lost. I hesitated for a moment and opened Ethan's chat box. The last message was, "Good night." I remembered what Ethan had said a few days ago. He had azoospermia. I walked out to the balcony. The moonlight was clear, and the autumn stars traveled countless light years to reach my eyes. The universe was vast, yet there seemed to be no place for this child. I stroked my belly. The baby's father doesn't like it, but I do. I can raise it well on my own. In the dead of night, I rummaged through my closet, filling a suitcase. I'll leave tomorrow. Leave this place. Leave Ethan. From now on, the baby will no longer be Ethan's child. It will be mine and mine alone. Before leaving, I hesitated for a moment, then left a note and the pregnancy test stick. If I didn't explain my departure, he might think I was missing, and the probability of being found would be higher if he launched a massive search. I cheated. The child is not yours. Don't look for me. After writing those words, I took a final look back at the home I had lived in for 5 years. It held countless traces of my life. None of it would concern me anymore. Goodbye, little home. Goodbye, Ethan. Cloudwater Town is a small town in a Tier 4 or 5 city. The town area is very small, the basic facilities are mediocre, and the scenery is just the most ordinary southern landscape. Placing it on a map, it has no distinguishing features. The housing prices here are neither high nor low, and the cost of living is the same. People seeking a lying flat paradise online wouldn't choose this place. Job opportunities in the small town are few. The young people have moved away, and the elderly are left behind. This is a city stuck in the turn of the millennium. Closed storefronts, quiet streets, and the occasional electric tricycle passing by. On the street where I was, only a noodle shop and a barber shop were open. Across the street, there was a small convenience store with the 5 large characters, Aunt Lily's store, hanging on it. It later seemed to take on the role of a Mate 1 Select station, adding a yellow sign next to it. Although Mate 1 Select has since closed down, the owner still hasn't taken down the sign. Perhaps she forgot, or perhaps it's unnecessary. The town is so small that everyone knows which store is where and whose house it is. A sign to advertise the business isn't needed. I walked into the noodle shop. It wasn't mealtime, so there were few customers. Only one woman in a padded coat was sitting at a table, watching a short drama with the volume turned up loud. Even before entering the shop, I could hear the ear-splitting dialogue coming from the small phone. "You want to marry me so badly that you'd push Pearl down the stairs? Shameless." It wasn't me, it really wasn't me, she herself. The male lead cut off the female lead's explanation. Someone should really teach you a lesson. Then came the sound of rain and thunder. Sigh, the sky always seems to rain whenever the female lead is being tormented. The owner noticed me, pointed ahead without raising her head. Look at the menu yourself if you want to eat something. I walked up to the sign, tilting my head to look at the dishes and prices. There was no one else in the shop, so I had plenty of time to decide. Fried rice, fried noodles, fried rice cakes, boiled noodles, boiled rice cakes. There were also some rice with toppings. After looking around, I chose a plate of pork rib noodles, opened Alipay, and scanned the QR code to pay. The owner worked slowly too. She strolled into the back kitchen with her phone. The short drama hadn't been paused. Based on the content, the female lead had been sent to a correctional facility and was suffering. I wasn't fond of this genre. I pulled my attention away and sat at the table closest to the door. The tabletop had a layer of uncleared grease. I pulled out a tissue and wiped it. However, the accumulated years-old grease wouldn't come off with a paper towel. The table remained sticky. Frustrated, I used another tissue as a placemat. Another electric tricycle drove past on the street. A yellow one. 3 seconds later, a black one drove past. Bored, I started counting the tricycles passing outside. The noodles arrived on the 18th count. The pork rib noodles tasted very ordinary. Neither good nor bad. It tasted ordinary, like the noodles I ate at the shop when I was a child. It seemed the chef's skill had not improved over all these years. It was an old shop in a small county, the taste was average, but the portion size was generous. I finished all the pork ribs and the noodles. Finally, when I scooped with my chopsticks, the bowl was empty. I put down my chopsticks, wiped my mouth, and asked the owner, "Is there anyone renting out houses around here?" The owner was still watching her short drama. In the short time it took me to eat the noodles, the plot had advanced to the female lead returning home from the facility, transformed into a cold robot. She no longer called the male lead brother, and no longer clung to him. Instead, she coldly referred to him as Mr. Smith. The male lead noticed the female lead's change and grew angry. The plot was so classic, I felt a slight, strange urge to laugh. How was this different from when I was spanked by my parents as a child and fantasized about becoming a cold learning machine? The owner looked up this time. "Oh, little girl is looking to rent?" I nodded. "Yes." She was enthusiastic. "What made you think of coming here?" "All our young people have left. We rarely see newcomers." She gave me directions. "Go ask around at the park over there. The old folks have plenty of empty houses." I thanked her and answered her question before leaving. "I used to live at the end of the town when I was little. I haven't been back in many years." "I see. If you decide to live here, come and support my business often." I agreed. Before leaving the noodle shop, I looked back and saw her fast-forwarding the short drama. She was catching up on the plot she had missed while talking to me. The female lead had once again become a cold robot. The deliberately indifferent phrase "Mr. Smith" drifted faintly to me, fading as I walked further away. It was a beautiful day. No rain. Renting a house was easy. The landlady was an old woman whose 2 children had gone to work in the provincial capital. She had several houses, all vacant. I rented one of them and went to the supermarket a few hundred meters away to buy some essential living items and had them delivered. The house, having been empty for a long time, needed a thorough cleaning. I was lazy. There were no formal cleaning companies here, but hiring a local cleaner would do just as well. The cleaner tidied the empty house while I toured the small town, wandering from the afternoon until dusk. The house was brand new again. I stood on the balcony, gazing at the town where time seemed to have paused, feeling momentarily lost. This was Cloudwater Town, no longer the bustling imperial capital. I had truly left that place. The town grew even quieter after nightfall. I hugged a pillow, curled up in bed. A cool breeze wafted in, and a sense of loneliness arose. Well, not entirely lonely. I stroked my belly. I still had a baby with me. Life in Cloudwater Town was peaceful. I changed my SIM card, so only a few close contacts could reach me now. Dealing with these few people required very little energy. Replying was fine. Not replying was also fine. We wouldn't fret over one unreturned message. I lived here for a month and gradually adapted to the town's slow pace of life. The only drawback was that the infrastructure in the small town I chose was poor. There were only clinics in the town, no large hospitals. My prenatal checkups required me to go to the city center. Perhaps I had lived in the imperial capital for too long. That city was so vast that subway rides started at an hour. I took a taxi for an hour, and the driver kept driving and complaining about why we hadn't arrived yet. I patiently comforted her. Almost there, we'll be there soon. By the time I got out of the car, I was infected by her feeling and also thought the journey was so long. I got out, feeling dizzy, and went to the hospital to wait in line for the examination. While queuing, I suddenly realized what an idiot I was. Why on earth did I choose to come for a checkup on a weekend? There were so many people on the weekend. It was all because life had been too comfortable lately, and I had lost my sense of time coordinates. I stood in line miserably, and after a long wait, I finally completed the test. I looked down at the report content and walked slowly out of the hospital. There weren't many top-tier hospitals in this city, so people from the city, the town, and the villages all came here for medical care. Everyone was rushing. I was conspicuously slow and bumped into someone. I whispered an apology and bypassed them on the right. Earlier, I had seen a street not far outside the hospital where I could buy some snacks to take home. I didn't turn on navigation and headed there based on memory. As I walked, I ended up in a dead end. It turned out I had no sense of direction. I resigned myself, turned on the navigation, and adjusted my direction. As I emerged from the alley, it suddenly occurred to me that the person I bumped into at the hospital had a very familiar scent. It was the smell of bitter orange. Ethan had a bottle of perfume with that exact scent. But he didn't like using perfume. I bought it for him, but I didn't see him use it many times. I felt bad for spending so long choosing it. What a waste of my effort. I thought as I walked toward the snack street. The back view of a man on the side of the road looked exactly like him at first glance, just a bit thinner than him. This is incredible. I hadn't thought of this person for a month, so why do I keep thinking about him today? Is this the legendary Proustian effect? I shook my head, throwing Ethan out of my mind. My food was more important. I walked out of the alley and stepped toward the snack street. Just as I took one step, I looked down, wanting to see how many meters until I needed to turn. Suddenly, I lost my vision. A warm, rough hand covered my eyes. I smelled the faint, bitter scent of orange again. I froze. My body recognized the man behind me sooner than my mind did. His chin rested on my shoulder. The man clung to my back like a ghost. His chilling breath brushed against my neck. The hand covering my eyes was moving down. It touched my lips, my neck, and finally stopped on my belly. Ethan's voice was colder than the bitter winter. Pregnant?I cheated with a man who can't even accompany you to a prenatal checkup? Ethan gently stroked my stomach. He chuckled. What use is a man like that? He certainly didn't accompany me to the checkup. He certainly was useless. That's why I dumped him, isn't it? Ethan started the mockery. Serafina, your taste is getting worse and worse. I was silent for a moment. Noted. Noted. Ethan's voice grew even colder. I countered. What else do you want me to say? He let go of me and circled around to face me. This was the first time I had seen him in over a month. I was slightly stunned when I saw Ethan's appearance clearly. In my mind, Ethan had always been a man who cared deeply about his image. He was a bit of a germaphobe and obsessive-compulsive. Every day he would meticulously present himself in the most flawless way, rarely showing any loss of composure. But the person standing before me now looked like he hadn't shaved in days. His chin was covered with a circle of dark stubble. The dark circles under his eyes were heavy, and he had lost a lot of weight. I suddenly realized that the slender back I saw earlier on the roadside, which looked very much like Ethan, really was him. How did he let himself get into this state? Even when he was at his busiest, pulling all-nighters for work, he was never this disheveled. I hesitated, and out of consideration for our past relationship, I asked him, "Are you okay?" I don't know what I touched with that question, but his emotions suddenly broke the dam. How dare you ask me if I'm okay? So I shouldn't have asked. Then I won't ask. I pretend I never said that. When I said that, Ethan finally answered me. His embrace came before his voice. His voice was filled with exhaustion and attachment. It seemed like a delusion, yet perhaps it wasn't. I vaguely heard him choke up. Ethan said, "I am not okay. I haven't been well since you left. Serafina, is this the surprise you told me about? I don't like it at all." Even though these things happened just a month ago, it felt like a lifetime had passed. It took me a moment to recall that when Ethan left, I video called him and told him I had a surprise for him when he returned. I had originally intended to say I was pregnant. The reality was that Ethan came home to find a note saying I had cheated, was pregnant, and had run away. The surprise instantly turned into a shock. Only now did I realize, belatedly, that I felt a little guilty. It seemed I had done something terrible to him. For a moment, I didn't know how to explain. The thought circled in my mind, but the only thing that came out was, "Can you hug me a little lighter? It's too tight, I can't breathe." Ethan was unforgiving. "Just endure it." Endure it is. Considering the huge shock I gave him, it was a miracle he hadn't strangled me. What's the big deal about letting him hug me? It's not like I really can't breathe. That being said, Ethan loosened his grip considerably. The current embrace was similar to the ones before. Warm and broad. When he had hugged enough, he let go of me. "Where are you staying?" I didn't speak, just looked at him silently. Just this one action made Ethan angry again. He spoke to himself. "What? You don't want me to know where you live? Is that lover of yours at your place now? You don't want me to see him?" Ethan gave me the triple question. I rubbed my temples. "No. The place I'm staying is a bit far from here. It takes a long time to get there. Whatever you need to talk about, we can finish it here. No need to go back." Ethan's face turned cold. He gazed at my face, then slowly moved his eyes down, finally stopping at my stomach. "Get rid of the child, come back with me, and I can pretend nothing happened." Impossible. I ran away precisely because I wanted this child. Ethan immediately asked me to abort the baby. I'd be crazy to agree. "Ethan, why? Do you love that lover so much?" Although there was no need to explain, I did so anyway. It has nothing to do with who the child's father is. "I just want the baby." Ethan's expression worsened. "So you just despise me because I can't conceive?" I didn't mean that either. I didn't know what to say to Ethan for a moment. Ethan stared at me with a gloomy face. As he kept staring, his expression inexplicably started to improve. He performed a spontaneous transition from heavy rain to sunny skies. Ethan suddenly saw the light. "So you don't love your lover, you just love children. He's just a tool for pregnancy. He has no right to compete with me." He completely changed his demeanor this time, stroking my belly with extreme gentleness. Who the child's biological father is doesn't matter. What right does a man who won't even accompany you to a checkup have to take care of you and the child? "Come back with me. I will treat it as my own." I looked at him in horror. Ethan, what is he talking about? Was he always this kind of person? I feel like I never noticed before. The Ethan in my memory was very gentle to me but used cruel tactics against business rivals. Otherwise, I wouldn't have overheard those speculations about him at the banquet. How could a man like him have a hobby for willingly becoming a father to another man's child? "Ethan, why aren't you speaking? Do you think I'm not fit to be the child's father? Is that man better than me?" I was momentarily speechless. "Ethan, is he as handsome as me, as rich as me? Does he have my stamina? Is he 18? Stop. 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 We are on a public street." I quickly covered Ethan's mouth. Even if there was no one on the street, he couldn't talk nonsense like this. I had a terrible headache all of a sudden. He removed my hand. Seeing that he was about to utter another shocking statement, I quickly interrupted. "There is no other lover." Ethan was stunned. He repeated my words. "No other lover?" I nodded. "No, you said you cheated." I lied. "You're pregnant." "That part is true." "So it is true." I rubbed my temples. "Why do you believe everything I say?" "I told you not to look for me. Why didn't you listen to me?" "Ethan, it's different." "How is it different?" He looked down at me intently. "I couldn't not come look for you." He pressed my hand to his chest. Through a layer of clothes, skin, and bone, I felt his heartbeat. This was his heart. Ethan said, "After you left, it was in a lot of pain. It wanted to come find you." I gave a very anticlimactic response. People are controlled by the brain, not the heart. You didn't learn biology well. It was your brain that wanted to find me. After my repeated deadpan replies, it was finally Ethan's turn to be speechless. I could almost see a white speech bubble above his head. Inside the bubble were 6 bold, black dots. Houses in the small town are usually long-term rentals. I signed a 1-year lease when I rented the house. I had only stayed for 1 month. The rent for the remaining 11 months was wasted. I felt a bit heartbroken. "Ethan, how much is your rent?" I counted on my fingers, $600 a month, $6,000 for the year. "You made me waste a full $5,500. Ethan stared at me, his expression conveying deep wordlessness. It was as if he was saying, "Is this $5,500 worth your heartache?" He took out his phone, tapped and tapped on it. "Check your phone." I took it out. I checked it. There was nothing. What was he telling me to check? We looked at each other. I didn't give Ethan the reaction he wanted. I didn't know what reaction he wanted. Because I didn't respond, he took my phone and was surprised to find that there was indeed nothing. "You changed your SIM card?" "Yes." "You changed your SIM card but didn't unbind your bank card?" I caught the keyword. "You transferred money to me? How much did you transfer?" Ethan ignored me. My curiosity was piqued. I pressed him. How much? I didn't cancel that SIM card, but I threw it away. I haven't gotten a replacement yet. I was afraid that getting a replacement would bring back old people and old things and affect my mood. I was planning to get it done after I settled down here. Now Ethan had transferred money to me, and not knowing how much made me feel intensely frustrated. No matter how annoyed I got, Ethan wouldn't tell me. He took the clothes he bought at the supermarket and went into the bathroom. I simply followed him in. He had no sense of shame whatsoever. He could shower without changing his expression while I watched him. On the contrary, I became embarrassed and quickly turned away. Before I could leave the bathroom, Ethan pressed against me from behind. He was still damp, and the water droplets from his chest soaked my back as he pressed close. His fervent kiss lingered on the back of my neck. "Ethan." My voice trembled slightly. His voice was very rich, especially now, deeper and more pleasant than usual. I reminded him, "I'm pregnant." Ethan bit the back of my neck as he kissed me. He was treating this like an ABO novel, marking me by biting my neck. He mumbled, "I know." I was afraid he would say, "It's not my child anyway," but thankfully he didn't. He turned me around in his arms and kissed my lips. I didn't reject the kiss. He was taking care of himself. Ethan's voice was really pleasant to hear, especially when he was breathless. It brought back countless images, and the thousands of days and nights we spent together flashed through my mind. My breathing also became erratic. I tentatively reached out to him, but unexpectedly, Ethan avoided me. He pushed me out of the bathroom, his voice hoarse. "Don't mess around." Who is the one messing around? My pajamas were all wet. I found a clean pair in the closet and changed. Ethan came out much later. I was already lying in bed, ready to sleep. After the sound of the bathroom door opening, the mattress beside me dipped. Ethan embraced me from behind. It was the last night in Cloudwater Town. I heard the sound of the town's wind, the rain, and the tricycles driving by on the street. On the day I arrived, the town had been dry. Now, as I lay in Ethan's arms, planning to leave, the town began its first rain in a month. The rain was fine and continuous. Rainwater hit the window, gathered into droplets, and slowly flowed down. It was as if it was bidding me farewell. I also heard Ethan's voice. He said, "I love you." Ethan seemed to have fallen asleep. I quietly turned over in his arms, changing from facing away from him to facing him. Ethan was not asleep. I touched his face, sighing. "Why didn't you ask me who the child's father is?" His eyelids fluttered. I leaned into his ear and whispered, "Shall I tell you?" He could really hold it in. I blew a breath into his ear. "I didn't cheat. It's your child." Ethan suddenly opened his eyes. "Really?" I knew he was pretending to sleep. Given his reaction, I suddenly felt like teasing him. Just kidding. The light in Ethan's eyes dimmed slightly, but he recovered quickly. The fact that you're willing to lie to me means you care about me. What did he do during the month he couldn't find me? He's so good at self-manipulation now. I stroked his cheek. Actually, I wasn't lying. It is your child. We can do a paternity test after the baby is born. It's the modern age. It's easy to tell if it's biologically related. After I said this, I expected Ethan to be very happy. Contrary to my expectation, his expression was as gentle as ever, but his lowered gaze revealed his anxiety and unease. I kissed him on the lips. Serafina? He was momentarily stunned. Why aren't you happy? Is it because you don't like children? When I asked him before, his answer every time was that he didn't like them. This time he came looking for me and gave a different answer. I could tell he wanted to be with me. As for the baby in my belly, he didn't seem to care or ask whose it was. Ethan's movements stiffened slightly. He said, "I'm sorry." I stared at him unblinkingly. "If it's my child, why did you leave?" He touched me carefully. "Is it because I said I don't like children?" Ethan's just lingered for a long time, so long that the sentence almost didn't connect. I yawned, tears of sleepiness welling up in the corners of my eyes. I closed my eyes, ready to sleep. The last sound I heard before drifting off was, "I don't want to lie to you. I really don't like children. But if it's our child, I will try to love it the way I love you." I gently hugged him back. Okay. Long after returning to the imperial capital, my belly grew bigger day by day. On one unremarkable afternoon, I came back from outside. The moment I opened the door, countless flowers fluttered down. The intense fragrance of roses filled the entire room. Scattered petals lay on the floor, forming a red carpet. Following the red carpet, I saw many gifts. Starting with an infant's longevity lock, moving forward, there was a gift for every step. The gifts seemed to be arranged according to age progression. 1 year old, 2 years old, 18 years old. They didn't stop there. The gifts continued to 24 years old. The gift for 25 was a massive bouquet of roses. In the middle of the table-sized rose bouquet was a box. Ethan appeared on the right side. I asked him, "You're preparing gifts for the baby before it's even born? Why did you prepare them until 25 instead of 18? Ethan shook his head. "It's not the baby's gift. It's yours. You are 25 this year." He picked up the box from the center of the roses. He opened it. A diamond ring was sparkling brightly. He took out the ring, knelt on one knee, and proposed to me. I remembered the words I overheard at the banquet before I left. "We've been together for quite a while, haven't we?" I tilted my head. "Why are you only proposing now?" Ethan's voice was low. "Today is our 5th anniversary." I was puzzled, waiting for his explanation. "You don't remember," he said. "Right after we got together, you watched a proposal video. The main couple in the video got engaged on their 5th anniversary. You were very envious at the time. I saw the comment you wrote. You also hoped that couples would get married after 5 years together. So that was it. A small thing that I had forgotten. All my confusion was instantly resolved.